I need you to remember who you are, and more importantly, whose you are. They say nothing is new over the sun. Life is like a repeat dial, right? And keep in mind that you have survived 100% of the worst days of your life. Now, if you've been following me for a bit, you know that I'm a believer. I'm not a Christian, but I say believer. And whatever that outside source, whatever that entity, whatever name you want to call your belief system by, I got to ask you this. Won't he do it? There's a song, an artist that I really enjoy. Her name is Corn Hawthorne, and she has this track entitled, Won't He Do It? And it's a reminder that every situation that you did not think that you were going to make it in, that same belief system, whether a deity, a god, a person, a force, what have you, got you through it the last time. So why would this moment be any different? Corinne goes, Ain't nobody stopping my shine. They try to break me, try to take me out, but I got Jesus on my side. Felt so bad I thought I would die. But ain't no power stronger than the one that came and laid down his life. And I got mountains to climb. But the enemy can't stop me because there's a calling on my life. So when I'm crying, don't last too long because he's going to step in and make it all right. What they say, if it's not over, then it's all right. And if it's not all right, then it's not over. Catch it. She continues on. Won't he do it? He said he would. Fight your battles for you. They going to wonder how you sleep at night. Won't he do it? Ah, yes, he will. Anybody tell you something different, you know that's a lie. You gonna look back and be so amazed how it turned out it's only his grace. Won't he do it? He said he would. So I trust him at all times. Stop acting like you're not gonna get over what you're going through. You have survived 100% of the worst days of your life when you realize that at the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. That's why Corinne says, I got mountains to climb. You got valleys to pass through. But guess what? You gonna get through. All right, family. It's that damn dawn like the break of day. And you know what time it is. It's time for Vitamin D Live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are tuned in to the Vitamin D with Dawn Day podcast, and I am your host, Dawn Day, here to get you excited about your life so that you can live life on purpose and for a purpose. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Vitamin D, it's a pun of my name. My name is Dawn, and you get vitamin D from the sun, so I'm here to shed light into your life. And I do this with inspirational insights and conversations with celebrities and everyday people like you and me. Because if you want to be better and you want to do better, then you're going to have to be able to see better. So join me on this journey of living our best lives and understanding and realizing how you are your greatest asset.
Get your vitamin D right here with me and get excited about your life.
Happy Tuesday. I like to say, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me Tuesday. What's going on, beautiful people? How you feeling? How you doing? I'm doing all right. Listen, I don't know if I told you, but I am doing a fitness challenge. Child, I'm working out every day. I'm spending about 2 hours. You know, basically no dang on carbs. We'll be talking about some brown jasmine rice. We got Brussels sprouts. We got spinach. But I'm staying committed because one thing I don't like to do is lose. And there's a cash prize up. So that's the 411 over here. This past weekend was exciting. I was over at Taste of Soul. So shout out to everybody I saw. I saw Kevin Ross out there. I am so sorry, Latasha. I did not see you. Listen, if you've been anywhere in a big parade, a fair where there's a lot of people, one thing you don't want to do is after you exit the vicinity, is have to retract back. And I misread the message. Latasha told me she was inside Taste of Soul. I thought she was at Dorsey High School. Walked up to my car and she's like, Dawn, are you in here? I said, no, sis, I'm gone. And it was hot. And mama was over it. But nevertheless, it was so good. Oh, and Miss Aisha Woods came up. Hopefully she pulls up on us on the live today. She came up to say hello. I invited her on to be a guest. She wants to talk about the importance of preserving our cemeteries. Right here in Los Angeles, I cannot recall the cemetery she was telling me about, but a lot of historical people that have helped build this city, shape this city, help commune this city are buried there. And she goes there, volunteer, of course, to make sure it cleans up, it looks nice, and making room for people to love on their loved ones and have their loved ones laid to rest. So, I'm excited to have that conversation, to have her on and to talk about that. And I'm excited what I got going on in this show. Baby, let me tell you right now. Coming hot off the press, ready to address. Be careful. Did you hear about what's going on with McDonald's? They got an E. coli outbreak. I'm gonna tell you about that. Also, you heard about the woman found dead in the oven at Walmart? If that's not enough, Walmart is continuously under fire because they're being sued for millions of dollars. And talking about millions of dollars, there was a almost 350 million, actually $353 million illegal cannabis bust. Yes, destroyed right here in California. I got all that to talk about more. Plus, we got a vitamin D letter. Shout out to our Florida family. Someone wrote me in, need some advice, and let's dive in from under the news desk with these fools. All right, so get ready. This is from under the news desk. And now, once again, we get to hear from our crazy and silly friends from over at Under the News Desk, where they hilariously report their comedic take on the news literally from under the news desk. Because as the world spins and more out of control, that's where they feel the safest. Yeah, they so stupid. Are y'all ready? All right, here we go. From high above the only freeway sign without gang graffiti on it, this is from Under the News Desk, broadcasting live from our eviction proof newsroom. The blind have been deliberately left behind. A week ago, the Blind Persons Association held a protest rally against the headquarter offices of Uber and Lyft, claiming that the paid rideshare companies deliberately discriminated against vision impaired passengers. I'm nervous where this is going. And the protest, being 200 blind persons strong, was going really well for about 20 minutes until a male building employee ran out and told them this: guys, you're standing in front of the wrong building. We're a funeral home. The Uber and Lyft headquarters is the next building over. But unlike them, oh well, take anybody. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Okay, Hero Bank Guard. He be fighting triple hard, yo. Okay. Last Monday on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles, far Western bank guard Michael Green, age 69, took a bathroom break and came back on duty while the bank was being robbed by the heavily armed Hard. Is it Hard Day? Hard brothers. The bank guard quickly shot Kevin Hard, age 23, at the teller's window. Then he got behind the potted trees in the lobby to get Chico Hardy, age 27, who was by the deposit slip desk. And then Michael Green spun around low to get Mickey Hardy, age 25, which blew Mickey Hardy straight out of the glass exit doors and onto the sidewalk. Thankfully, no one else was hurt in the shootout. And 2 days later, the bank gave the guard a $3,000 reward check for saving the bank from three brothers. The elderly and exhausted bank guard had $3,000 check in his hands and tearfully said this: "Wow, that's three the hard way." Swordfish fights, female surfer. Beach stage, round one, begin. A 36-year-old Italian female surfer was attacked by a very angry swordfish while riding the waves at Redondo Beach. The swordfish kept hatefully punching holes in her surfboard. Then the swordfish ragefully swam around to the side and knocked the surfboard out from under the woman, who sadly drowned in the ocean. Redondo Beach Coast Guards and police normally peaceful. Oh, excuse me. Guards, police, detectives are still trying to figure out why a normally peaceful swordfish would attack a human. Hmm. It says here that the Italian surfer was wearing a t shirt that says, "Fish love me," and "I love fish," with hot sauce and french fries. God, dog. And the back of her shirt had a logo of a large swordfish in a frying pan on it. I'm no detective like Batman is, but that could be a possible motive. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. A lot of stinky human feet are washing up on the beach. Between 2007 to 2024, over 27 pairs of human feet, all with their shoes still on, have been found washed up on California beaches. Scientists say that when most people who are lost at sea, sea creatures will eat everything except the feet. Kind of low, like how Popeye's chicken customers will eat everything on the menu except the chicken's beak and feet. However, LAPD detectives went with the other theory to explain the 27 pairs of human feet on the beaches with their shoes still on, knocking on the door twice. Come on out here. Come on out of your home, Michael Jordan. This is the police chief speaking. We know it was you. All of those feet on the beach had your fancy shoes on. You sick basketball playing bastard, you, and we don't want to hear nothing about it. It's all weird coincidence. And the old I'm innocent nonsense either. Knocking twice. Come on out of there, Michael Jordan, and get what's coming to you. Boys, get the NBA size tasers. Jordan's not coming along quietly. Michael Jordan did ballpark Frank hot dog commercials back in the day. Well, now let's see if he plumps when we cook him. God, dog. Cuba's so dark now that even hurricanes need flashlights to find it. And the communist island nation of Cuba is still in the dark after a nationwide electrical power grid outage because of Cuba's very large and old crumbling 1950s power grid. The whole island is as dark as a large floating Oreo cookie, but without the cream in the middle. So, for a third week in a row, Cuba has no electrical power whatsoever. Even the mosquitoes there are flying around without internet and GPS. When we asked their chief electrical engineer, Dr. Julian Santos, or as he's fondly called on the island, Dr. Scotch Tape and Paper Clips, just how bad the power outage there, Dr. Julian Santos said this: "Oh, it's Whitney Houston being found in a bathtub water bad. Yes, but we called for a roadside assistance for Cuba. Any day now, we're expecting Russia to pull up on us with a really big jumper cables. And we'll stay with this poorly lit news story until our mosquito repellent candles stop telling the Cuban insects exactly where we are on our rowboat." So Donde, it's back to you. Because this has been under the news desk because food goes in, but news always comes out. This has been brought to you by Fear-Based Presentation. Alrighty then. That is from Under the News Desk. Now, true story though, what did I come across? And I said, oh my gosh, this happened to me. Did I lose it that fast? Hold on. Hold on. I should have interrupted. Now I can't even find. Oh, the shoes and the feet. True story. When I was in eighth grade, I had this idea that I was going to be a doctor, specifically a pediatrician. But nevertheless, you still have to go to medical school, right? Well, middle school was cool. We had science, so we did the whole dissection of frogs, of worms. I even think we did a clam. And yeah, that was it. But it wasn't until I went to high school and I was in medical careers club and we actually visited a mortuary. What's it called? A mortician? Mortuary. We visited the Detroit mortuary. Is that the right term? You know what I'm talking about. We went on the entire tour. We actually saw autopsies being done live. Now, you're saying, Dawn, you're talking about the shoe moment. How is this connecting? Okay, hold on. I'm getting there. The connection is this. The thing that is so wild about all of this, they had what they would consider kind of like a museum at the end of the tour after seeing the autopsies. And there were different artifacts that they had found out from people who had transitioned over. I'm talking about somebody that was schizophrenic had swallowed like over 2 pounds of metal. We saw a piece of gum someone choked on. But specifically, Detroit had went through a stint where they was down with a deep depression. They actually had a foot and the inside had been disintegrated, and it looked like a glove of someone that jumped off of a building, and, I was just traumatized. So, the whole story about the swordfish and the feet and the pairs of shoes and all that kinda stuff, I resonate. I just wanted to share that. And, now let's jump into some news. Now, this is what I do want to share with you. You know, what's happening in our nation, our state, or perhaps what's happening with a person near you. McDonald's. You know, we're used to saying, "I'm loving it." Well, folks aren't loving this too much. McDonald's Quarter Pounder, it's linked to a deadly E. coli outbreak. Mhm, mhm. The CDC says that at least 49 people have contracted E. coli through this recently identified outbreak, including one person who had died and 10 who had been hospitalized. Now, most of the illnesses have been reported to be in Nebraska as well as Colorado. Nebraska had 9 and Colorado had 27, but also have been identified in 8 other states. The one death that was described was an older resident living in Colorado. Now, officials say the CDC and McDonald's have yet to determine which ingredient is contaminated and responsible for the outbreak. In fact, the CDC wrote a food safety alert stating McDonald's stopped using fresh, slivered onions and quarter-pound beef patties in several states while the investigation is ongoing to identify the ingredient causing the illness. McDonald's is proactively making these changes while investigators work to confirm the contaminated ingredient. Now, the quarter pounder patties are used exclusively on McDonald's quarter pounder menus. Quarter pounders and the slivered onions are primarily used on that menu item and not others, officials say. Now, the CDC is also working to determine if the contaminated ingredients were sent to any other restaurants or businesses. An infection from E. coli bacteria can cause severe stomach cramps, bloody diarrhea, and vomiting. Other more serious symptoms include high fever, dehydration, inability to keep liquids down, and dizziness. Now, the symptoms usually you experience them within 3 to 4 days when consuming or after consuming the contaminated food, while most people recover without treatment after about a week. E. coli can produce the potentially deadly Shiga toxin, which could cause a person to develop serious kidney problems that require hospitalization. One child is currently being treated for a kidney disorder caused by an E. coli infection. Now, McDonald quarter pounders will be temporarily moved from the menus in select states while the investigation intensifies, the CDC says. Now, I ain't gonna hold you. I've been thinking and I thought to get a good fish fillet. However, if you are somebody that loves McDonald's, you might want to step away for a bit. I'm just saying, just for the safety of yourself, for others, and anyone else that you love. All right. Okay. Now, in Canada, did you hear about what's going on with Walmart? Did you hear about the young woman that was found dead in the oven? Pull up. In Canada, 19-year-old woman found dead in a Walmart oven. Halifax, Nova Scotia Regional Police said in a release that they were called at 9:30 p.m. Saturday to the store where the 19-year-old woman was found dead inside of a walk-in oven in the bakery department. Police said they haven't confirmed the cause, and the manager of the death of a woman who worked at the store, nor has her name been released. But CBC reports that the woman was a member of a local Sikh community. It has been said that investigations is complex and it involves several partner agencies. Now, police urged the public to be mindful of sharing speculative information on social media and said people be aware of the impacts that speculation could have on family, colleagues, and loved ones of the woman. The store is temporarily closed as they cooperate fully with the investigation. Now, I don't know about you, but that is extremely scary, right? Um, like what happened, I guess we don't want to assume it's a hate crime, but knowing that something like this has happened, I mean, this reminded me of the story. You remember this was several years ago. Remember the young woman was at the hotel with her friends, and they found her dead in the freezer. Now, I don't know what has changed or what's going on, but what happened to the whole idea where, there were cameras or people patrolling, just so that we're keeping eyes. But I'm just saying, this is something to be mindful of and something to keep your eyes on. And if that's not enough heat, Walmart is actually catching flack because they're being sued for $7.5 million. Why? Because they are violating environmental regulations regarding the disposal of toxic and medical waste. I'm talking about rubbing alcohol, I'm talking about all types of chemicals. Now, here's the thing Walmart has agreed to pay. What did I get? Oh, yes. Walmart has agreed to pay civil penalties and costs to settle the lawsuit filed by the California Attorney General's Office, the California Department of Toxic Substances and Control, and the district attorneys from 12 countries. Now, the lawsuit is stemmed from allegations that Walmart improperly disposed these hazardous and medical waste. Now, the reason why this is important and the reason why you have to remind yourself to think of these things because this can cause an issue. When we talk about climate control, when we talk about people living in certain areas and things polluting the soil, these are the things that matter because you shouldn't be dumping these things in our local waste fields. At the end of the day, it comes back to us. But this is the real kicker Walmart is a multi-billion-dollar business. Do we really think $7.5 million is going to do something? Or is it enough? Because remember, this isn't the first time that they have violated such a thing. Moving on over, more than $353 million in illegal cannabis has been destroyed in California this year. California Attorney General Bob Bonta announced today that law enforcement teams across the state have wiped out nearly 775,000 illegal cannabis plants and more than 106,000 pounds of processed weed and a sweeping crackdown on unlicensed growers this year. The raid's part of the state's ongoing EPIC program. Now, EPIC, in case you're unfamiliar, stands for Eradication and Prevention of Illicit Cannabis, have led also to 282 arrests in 36 counties, with the haul estimated to be worth around $353 million. Now, we already know that California has the largest legal cannabis market in the world, but unfortunately, illegal and unlicensed growers are still a big problem. Now, here's the thing. You said, well, that's a shame that now it's illegal. And we got so many brothers that's serving time behind bars for something that's legal. Now, here's something that I raised my eyebrow and a little light bulb caught on and say, hey, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. One thing you do have to think about, well, when we talk about labor, you want to make sure that you're paid adequately, right? Making sure that the conditions are proper. But then also, if you are a consumer of cannabis and you are not appreciating or not liking the taxes and the regulations and all the fees that you have to pay to ensure that the cannabis that you are consuming is healthy is because there are different toxins and the pesticides that people can maneuver around from in order to get the money. So while we are paying that extra dollar for cannabis when it comes down to taxes, what you have to consider and keep under consideration is that that is your proof. That was air quotes for those who are listening. That was your proof that they have went through a streamlined process to ensure that it is not further harming your body. Now, the harmful chemicals I'm speaking of, such as carbofuran, is a toxic pesticide, like I mentioned, that has been banned in the US that contaminates the soil and water around these illegal grow sites. Now, so far in 2024, Epic teams have carried out 665 raids throughout California, seizing not only cannabis, but also 201 weapons. They also tore down makeshift dams, water lines, and other infrastructure supporting these illicit operations. Again, we know wildfires is an issue. Okay. When you talk about little critters, when you talk about people living in areas that's not supposed to be, I guess this is what it's all about, right? I know, I know. So that's what's happening in the news. Before I get to the vitamin D advice letter, I want to let you know we have a special guest today. His name is Duran Bowie. He is the founder of I'm a Movement, Not a Monument, a tutoring and after school program that is helping out our youth. He is making waves. And you remember I had Coach LA on from Pass It Forward Foundation? Well, she passed forward the baton to Duran. So pull up because right after this vitamin D letter, we're going to dive in and have a special conversation. All right, so let's get to this letter. Subject: my brother sends a financial tow truck to pull up on us. I didn't even get a chance to proofread this letter. Let's see what's going on. Dear Dawn, and let me give a shout out to real quick everybody that is tuning in on live. I see you and I appreciate you. Hey, Miss Jacqueline. Hey, Miss Brenda. Hey, Lavon. Hey. Dear Dawn, so love what you do, but I need your thoughts on this. Me and my two little girls, Jessie, age 4, and Camilla, age 2, have survived both hurricanes, Helen and Milton. Oh, it was beyond terrifying, Dawn. I had 3 feet of smelly seawater on the first story of my 2-story home for days now. But both times we couldn't evacuate because of money problems and the horrible gas shortages in our area. Dawn, I was barely making it and had no savings left before the hurricanes ever got here. Also, the first hurricane flooded our car, and the second one heavily flooded or nearly eroded most of the roads. And with alligators, small sharks, and snakes in some of the floodwaters, we decided to stay put until help came. And came it did. Our neighbors came back and rescued us on a small rowboat 3 days ago. Dawn, we were so happy to see them. I couldn't stop crying and hugging them. And they lovingly took us to a nearby emergency shelter. It's where we're at now. And we used my neighbor's satellite phone to call my brother Travis. Dawn, he was so worried about us and he lovingly sent me $300,000 by bank transfer. My brother Travis told me that I could either rebuild and repair my home or that I could use the money to come join him in Memphis and get a fresh start. He said that he wanted to be in our lives way more since mama just passed. But Travis also told me that if I chose to rebuild the house, that he wasn't a walking ATM card and that I'd be on my own for the next storm. Dawn, I love, 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 love me some Florida. Been here for a while, but Dawn, I don't know if me and my babies can go through another hurricane again. What should I do? Signed Destiny Hawkins, Land O'Lakes, Florida. Sis. Well, the first thing. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to really understand what the question is because I first want to yell, get out of Dodge. Now, with that being so, my concern is this. If your brother wired you $300,000, does that mean that even the damage that your house has withstand, do you have insurance that have covered it or protected you from it? Being that your brother said that if you move in or if you decide to stay, he is not a walking ATM, that makes me or leads me to believe that you constantly ask him for money. Now, let's be clear. Vitamin D is all about shedding the light on the good and the bad. Because what do I say? If you want to be better and you want to do better, you got to see better. So take what I say, eat the meat and spit out the bones. But let's take heed for a second. Why would your brother have to say to you, listen, if you decide to stay, do not call me? Does that mean that you're consistent in calling him? What's the deal, sis? Destiny, are you constantly calling your brother? Because if he said that he's not going to be helping you out anymore and you so much love Florida, well, I'm assuming you're going to get a good job and figure it out. And I say that loosely, a job where you will not have to rely on anyone else for support. A job that you may have backup electricity or gas or whatever you need to prepare for the next storm such as this. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm always down for a new thing. But if you can't sustain the old thing, then perhaps it is time for you to jump in a new thing. Now, you have children. You got 2 little girls that you have to look after. I don't think that this is a good situation for your girls to be in if your home is not being taken care of. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And I'm sure the viewers can agree. And anybody else that's listening live that says you probably should jump on that deal because there's nothing that should be a concern if you don't feel as though you are able to financially support yourself, including the fact that your brother wired you $300,000. You best to get online. You best to get some research going to figure out how you are going to put an investment for the next time. Does that make sense? So, in my honest and humble opinion, I would say you best take advantage of the opportunity or sit down with an accountant, sit down with an investor and figure out where you can invest this money at so that when the next hurricane comes, not if, because we know that it happens every year, you are prepared to deal with it. How does that sound? Does that make sense? Okay, so Destiny, that's my recommendation. They say if you can't stand the heat, jump out the kitchen. Right now, I am sending prayers over to you. I'm so glad that you and your children are safe. And I should have said that first. I'm so glad that they are safe, that you guys are safe and sound. I'm so glad that you got to love them, but you got to understand that sometimes people have to wash their hands and say that they are done. It's only so many times that you can ask somebody for some money and rely on somebody else's shoulder without having your own foot to stand on. Okay. So that's my advice for you. Boom cat biscuit. All right. Now I want to encourage you that if you would like some advice on a vitamin D advice later, go ahead and shoot me an email. Vitamin D at dawn dai speaks.com. That's vitamin D at dawnspeaks.com. All right. All right. That's it. All right. All right, family. Okay. We got some folks in the house. Shout out to everybody that's viewing. Get ready to take this number down, 818-461-5432. Because I'm sure some of y'all gonna have some questions. Some of you all might want to engage in this conversation with this lovely gentleman I'm gonna bring up. I will give a full-on introduction. When we met, what we did this, but I know that he's gonna say it because technically, if you ask Duran, we met what probably 10 years ago back when I first moved out to LA. And then since then, we constantly keep running in the same circles. And so much so that we had Coach LA, founder and director of Pass It Forward organization, said, Dawn, I'm passing forward the baton to my dear friend. And guess who it is? That damn Duran Bowie. So, in case you're wondering, Duran, who I am bringing up to the screen very shortly, is the founder of the organization. I'm a movement, not a monument. So, family, without further ado, help me welcome Mr. Duran.
Yay, yay.
What's going on? How you doing, Duran?
I'm blessed by the best, praying for the rest. How about you, Don Deezy?
Well, I'm too blessed to be stressed. Living my best because we here for a good time, not a long time. So we gonna make it count.
Yada.
Thank you for joining me today. Happy Tuesday to you.
Hey, happy every day. You feel me? It's life.
Uh-oh, you there?
I'm in the building.
Okay, you said happy what now?
Happy every day. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Every day we wake up is a blessing. You know, I never really understood, I guess, until I got older. And I find myself saying it. People be like, mm, how are you? I'm good. You know, it's good to be seen rather than viewed. And I had to sit back, right? Because you get viewed when you on the ground, and every day you wake up, it's a good day.
You got to
And that's
get it
why they
in.
say gratitude is everything. The more grateful we are, the more things we have to be grateful for, right?
And also, if you take that approach in life, you actually are an enlightenment to life. And so it's a delightful thing to have embracing wordplay endorsed versus like, oh man, I'm feeling all bad. I'm all messed up. You got to look at life on a higher side of things versus the lower side of things.
That's right. I mean, we already know the worst that can happen, and we already feel like we're at our worst. So why not expect the best? You know, I started out the show with Vitamin D Always, which is where I use a song and I use the lyrics of popular music, intertwined in an inspirational message. And the track was by Corin Hawthorne. She has this track, Won't He Do It? And
That's
basically, it's just
all.
talking about whether you are a believer in Christianity, Christ, the outside source, an energy, an entity, whatever. You have survived 100% of the worst days of your life. And you know it has been by grace. So why would today be any different?
And I mean, if you're not in that mindset, it's unfortunate, but God gives you the free will. So you have a free will to choose and delegate in the positive realm, or you have a free will to choose and delegate in a negative realm. And unfortunately, in our community, a lot of our people choose to delegate in a negative realm because of the sources that they actually are, saying being pressured by or oppressed.
Mm. Oh, you getting deep. That is so true though. You don't even realize the different strongholds that you have on your life that you don't even know you're being pulled down. It's like being in a dark room and you don't even know the lights are off.
Well, that's in the Bible, right? They said they walked through the valley of the shadow of death. So, like, the death is the darkness. So, a lot of us are walking in the valley of darkness. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately,
Come on, but I fear no evil. For your
yeah.
rod and your staff
Steadily,
they comfort me.
And that's the part that we have to live in, because even though God knows that we're going to walk through that death valley, right? We have to have the faith and the discernment in God that he's going to lead us out of it, and also not have the temptation. You know what I'm saying? So the temptation is also going to come, but we can't fail on our trailblazing.
Mm, mm. And when you realize, when the times that we want to get discouraged, I'm getting emotional. I can feel my eyes watering up. You literally have survived 100% of the worst days of your life. When you thought you weren't gonna make it, you still here. So why would it be any different? And if it were, you won't be alive to know anyway, right? So why you tripping?
You understand me?
All right.
Be the
Okay, y'all
vessel.
said Dawn. Who is this man on the screen? This is Duran Bowie. He is the founder of I'm a Movement, Not a Monument, an organization with a mission where they strive to empower today's youth to achieve their dreams by implementing goal setting programs that promote academic success, leadership, and mentorship, right?
Yay, yay. Come on, gang.
Come
That
on.
wasn't AI. No, AI didn't write that for us either. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I got that from the website. AI didn't write it. We got it. They wouldn't have known. They wouldn't have known.
Yeah, they're not like us, man. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's in us, not on us. And you know, like I'm a movement, out of monument. When you break it down, I'm a movement is like, you know, one of the things about life is once you become on the grind, right? Some of us like to end up being like, I'm at the top. You know what I'm saying? I'm popping. And like these ideologies end up being you off. The second you think you on, you off, because you start settling for like less, in the mindset of like I'm here now. I'm finally made it. Ain't no I finally made it in life. You know what I'm saying? There is no top. You know what I'm saying? There is no I'm at the top of my game. Not There is no such thing as it. And so that's why you have to be a movement. And the second that you start being a monument and you start standing still and being like, look at me, look at what I did, look at my awards. I just hit 50 points last night. These things become a monument and you get stuck in time. And you know what I'm saying? The time never stops. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta keep on being in a movement and not be a monument. You know what I'm talking about?
That was so real. Wow. And even on the thing of when you talk about how you gotta keep living, that means you keep growing, you keep changing. But you so stuck and oh, I'm hyping myself up. It's like you're just dead. You aren't growing, you aren't moving, you aren't progressing. You are literally stuck where you are.
Even if you popping, even if the news is saying like, look at this amazing person, look at this amazing business, look at this
Is that
amazing
some
concept.
Lizzie? Oh, I heard something
Yo,
in the background.
yeah, I'm sorry about that. This mic is so good, it even picks up the grass cutters.
Oh, I heard that.
But like, you
Oh,
know, like you don't never want to be like idolized. And you know, like it's unfortunate that we do a lot of idolizing, and especially in the black community. It's like idolizing is a huge thing in the black community. And it's like, what are we idolizing? What are we, you know what I'm saying, praising? Why are we praising people in that sentimency when if we're still in depression for over 400 years? It's 500 now. So we're post-slavery in depression for 500 years, but in the Bible they were walking in the wilderness for only 40. You know what I'm saying? So like the black community, we are at a high agony, and so we do too much praising and like pranting of like, put this person on the stage, let's make sure that they're praised. And you know what I'm saying? Supportive wise, it's no problem with support, but it ends up being like, you know, a change of a theory to where they end up leaving our community from all the praising.
mm, and the very reasons that we're praising you for, well, now you're gone, and now it's not even being affected, or it's not even happening anymore.
You forgot about us.
So talk to me. You founded this organization. I'm a Movement, Not a Monument, back in 2012. What sparked it?
I'm a product of what we pitch. So, you know, I come from a single family home. You know what I'm saying? My mom, you know, like actually grew up in the Caprini Green projects in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And she moved us to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And so when I moved to Minnesota, I was only 4 or 5 years old, maybe even 3. You know, we started out in a shelter. You know what I'm saying? And my mom sacrificed because she didn't want us to grow up in Chicago. If you see the statistics in Chicago, how many black males are being killed left and right, she didn't want me being raised in that type of environment. So she took a sacrifice and started out in a shelter. And you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like my mom had a college degree or came from a privileged family to have lineage handed down to her. So we started from the bottom. Now we're here, and we just kept on moving up. And before you know it, we did get a house, you know, by the time I was in high school. And I was privileged enough to end up going to an all-white high school, you know, but I went from an all-black middle school where we barely even finished our English books because we actually went to school to get the teachers to quit. Like we had goals, like let's make sure the teacher if we get teachers to quit, we did our job, you know what I'm saying? So we
Right.
were going to school to be, you know what I'm saying? My people's in the building, yay, yay, yada. You know what I'm saying? But we went to school to be a nuisance. But when I went to that all-white school, it was a different path and a different navigation towards education. They took education serious. Like when you were taking tests, they would actually cover their paper up. You know what I'm saying? And you talking in class, the white people like, shh, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm going from an environment where we turn up in the classroom to an environment where they take education serious. So it ultimately helped me become a better person towards education. And so my peers, though, that I grew up with, they didn't have that same discernment and they didn't have those same opportunities towards secondary options to go to college like I was capable of having being around these white peers. And so, you know, like when I moved to California, I was in the city of Inglewood. And the city of Inglewood is,
Inglewood. I'm sorry, I
you
had to do
feel
that.
me? Inglewood. Yeah. And so with me being in the city of Inglewood, it's labeled the city of champions. And so it's
Mm.
like, let's be real with ourselves. How are we labeled the city of champions? And only thing we're birthing are bloods. We got a whole bunch of young bloods around the community. You go to the park, all it is bloods hanging out. Ain't no after school programs. Ain't
Mm.
no champion going on. Ain't no champion happening. So how are we labeled the city of champions and there's no path towards championing? You know what I'm saying? Gangbanging ain't champion. You know what I'm saying? So we got to change the narrative. And I'm not one to like complain. So I'm gonna try to create a solution versus like going on the corner with a sign like "Stop gang banging, stop gang banging." You know what I'm saying? We ain't doing that. So I actually started a tutoring program. I mean, I started just the nonprofit in general, and we started doing quarterly events. So I started doing my toy festival, turkey giveaway, 100 houses. So 3-4 years into doing this, you start getting a real relationship with these families. Year one, they come take a toy, leave. Year two, they say what it do. Year three, now they pulling you to the side. They like, Mr. Duran, hey, I just lost my kids to CPS. Can you help advocate for my family? Or another brother would tell me, hey, I just fresh out of jail. Can you give me a character letter saying that I'm a good person? And like this story has happened repetitive. And now, let's say, for instance, the news comes to our toy festival. They put us on the news and they say, look at this organization, look what they're doing, look at the amazing things they're doing. But the toys I'm giving to people, the people are going home with no Christmas tree. Some of the kids are going home in a car. That's where they live. Some people are, you know what I'm saying? I'm giving people food. They can't even cook the food I'm giving them because they don't have a stove. And so these are like oxymoron things when the news puts you on the news for like, look at this great thing. But the people we're serving are nowhere near being serviced properly. And so that's when I said this quarterly thing ain't working. You know what I'm saying? All I'm doing is putting a band-aid on a wound because the people are still bleeding out after they leave my
Mm.
event. And so
Mm.
we got to make a difference day in and day out. And that's called high dosage. So when you come into somebody's life 3 or more times a week, that's called high dosage. That's where you see a change and an effect in their life. And so that's when we came out with the tutoring program. So I started the tutoring program in 2016. And it initially was just tutoring and mentoring. But what we realized is like the kids were coming in and we would assess and test a fourth grader and their results would come back at a first grade level. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And like you're reading at a first grade level, you're doing math at a first grade level, but you're in fourth grade. Now we have sixth graders coming in testing in a third grade level. So these are high development of students being behind. And so we're like, what the heck is going on? Why are our students so far behind in education? And what we have to understand is there was an implementation by George Bush that was called No Child Left Behind
I was
Act.
just about I was about look, I picked up my pen because I didn't wanna interrupt you to talk about it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so the No Child Left Behind Act that was implemented ended up leaving our kids to where when we grew up, they were super seniors. Like a 19-year-old would still be at school, and we'd be like, man, you was a senior last year. But now that is no longer in session. That kid has just moved from kindergarten to 12th grade, don't got to pass tests, don't got to get approved for anything, don't have to show that they're capable of being in that grade level. They're a check to the school system. So they just gonna keep on getting pushed forward, which is No Child Left Behind. And so we came up with a new name versus just tutoring and mentoring. And our tutoring program is called No Mind Left Behind, because we
Mm.
have to catch your mind up to your body. And so that's where, you know what I'm saying, that's one of our signature top of the line programs, you know what I'm saying? And it started in 2016. And, like now we are literally in multiple schools. We still at the park in the hood, you know what I'm saying? Ain't giving back again, ain't giving up at Rogers Park. But one of the things that I had to do was I had to, when we at Rogers Park and I start this in 2016, the park is still a blood park. It's still a highly gang infested park. And so when anybody would come and even see my program, I might have somebody from the Department of Mental Health that heard about the tutoring program. Now they want to donate to the program. So they come to the park, and before they get in the park, 5 people already said, what's up, blood, to them. You know what I'm saying? So by the time they get in the park, they scared. They're like, Duran, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? You got kids being tutored here, and then you got all these people outside saying blood to me. You know what I
Right,
mean? So
right.
I had to create a bridge with the even
Mhm.
our to where I had to figure out, why are y'all here every day? Why do y'all hang out at this park like this as blood members? And you know what I'm saying, like fester in our park. I'm thinking they're loitering at the time. I'm thinking y'all's causing a disturbance to our peace that we trying to grow. But talking to them, you understand them more. And you understand that they're actually security to the park. Because if they're not there, other gang members will come to the park and shoot that park up or try to take the park over. And so
What?
these are things that, like that's how you get people tagging the park up, all that type of stuff. So they're actually securing the park to where that type of stuff doesn't happen at Rogers Park, you know what I'm saying, or Darby Park. And so when you figure out and learn who these people are, now you figure out, all right, now I know why you here. All right, let's do this. People that come here to the park, just don't say what's up, blood, to them if they don't look like they on BS. If they look like they coming to help us, please don't say what's up, blood, to them. And they gonna help us bring these programs up and change the park out to where y'all don't even gotta be here. You know what I'm saying? Because we gonna change the narrative so our park don't have a chance to even have gang members coming to tag it up, because we have so many programs and kids outside. The park can't be messed with like that. And literally 6 years later, you can go to Rogers Park now and nobody's going to say what's up, blood, to you. It's going to be a peaceful time. You're going to be able to walk into the park, walk out the park without being gang banged on. And this is like incorporation, because it's not like I tried to ostracize the gang members and kick them out or get the police to come in and ruin our environment. No, I actually worked with them, and I actually even showed them how to actually start doing community events, and actually showed them how they're a huge important community member in our community. And now we actually are 6 years in doing toy festivals with them. And last year our toy festival was so big to where the city actually, like, you can't even do it in the park lot that y'all did it in, because y'all outgrew y'all venue. We want to help y'all. So now we even got the city coming in helping the gang members, to where the city don't even know that these are gang members, you know what I'm saying? Because they're doing so much good for the community.
And I guess when you think about how supposedly gangs started, it was supposed to be to help the community. It was supposed to be help people out. And just to see how that narrative's changed, and even as you're saying right now, they're in the park right now, they're guarding it. It reminds me to other people and other organizations I've spoken with. I was talking to Amari El Jamai with JTM Academy, and that is the organization that helps people with their expungement records and also help with people getting back in the trades. He was telling me that he in the neighborhood where they have the community garden is in Compton. He has to be mindful of who he invites over because just what you said right there, there could be a concern or individuals that are trying to get on the right track may be part of a different gang or a different set, and there may be a conflict. So, how these get in the way of actually getting on the other side. But, like you said, once we continue and move forward in creating this bridge, we can all move together, right?
Yay,
Come
yay.
on, movement, not a monument. With Duran, the founder. Now, let me ask you this: the children that are you serving, what is usually the background, or what are they experiencing, and how do they find you?
So I had to evolve because let's say, for instance, you're at the park, right? We went to we went from the park. We actually grew to a building the next year. So in 1 year, we grew from the park to a building on 54th and Crenshaw. And you actually, when you grow like this, you understand how retention span. So if I have a site at the park and it's 15 minutes away from the school, but the kid got to go home, eat after school, parent got to drop him off. I'm gonna have him maybe 2 days out of 5 days. You know what I'm saying? Because the retention span is not gonna be that high. And so what I figured out is cut out, and this is the thing that we have to do too. We are always on a, like, unfortunately, like, the nonprofit industry in the black community is a lot. It's like a selfish give back because we unfortunately, like, it's like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this versus what the community really needs. And so people build buildings and they'll take away from a budget that they could actually put that money into. Instead of building a building, go directly to the school where the kids are already at. Because I cut out all that. Like, why would I spend all this money trying to get kids to my building and all that when there's a school that I can actually go to, get the room for free after school, and now I can come in and help that kid right then and there versus worrying about how they're going to get to my building. I got to spend $50,000 a year on transportation. I got to buy a drive. Also have a driver now, so that's another $50,000. So before that kid even gets to the door, I'm upside down $100,000 just trying to get the kids to my building. So these are oxymoron concepts that unfortunately hinder our communities.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. I can't hear you. Just hold on. I don't want them to miss it. Okay.
But these, sorry about that.
We
You
got
got to keep.
we live in real life right now. The lawn is being mowed.
You feel me? Got to keep the grass cut, baby. You know what I'm saying? Got to keep the lawn cut daily. Keep them haters. I
Right.
got to see them
Okay.
snakes. Got to see them snakes in the grass.
Keep
But
it fresh.
and an overall base, you know what I'm saying? We basically make sure that we don't take away from a budget because you could ultimately build a building where, you know what I'm saying, it could be a beautiful staple. But ultimately, if you look at how much you're spending to operate that building, if you just went directly into school, how many more kids you could have helped versus building your own building and saying, look at me, look at we. They already got so many buildings built in our community to help our kids. We just have to bring the infrastructure and the budget and the right team members to change our community. You know what I'm saying? And one of the another biggest things that I figured out, and the reasons why I started going to the school directly, because at the park, there's no budget at the park. I'm building a budget at the park, right? At the school district has millions of dollars that they're allocated by the government and by the state. And also they write grants that they might go after independently as a school to actually fund you coming into their school.
And that they must use every year. So why have them waste money when you're talking about our children are not passing through? Our children are getting the resources and the opportunities.
Exactly.
This is not on. I'm gonna ask it. If the schools have this budget, why is there still a complaint about teachers not getting paid enough? Why are the classrooms overcrowded?
So, all right, let's break it down. Let's get into it like we do it. All right. So the teacher pay is actually a, like, it's that's a state regulated, you know what I'm saying, like, thing. We actually have, like, this how much the teachers make. This is unfortunate. But in a private sector, it's different. The private sector, you negotiate like you're in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of teachers come into the public sector to build their resume up to go private. So it's kind of like, a career. If I start out in public, I'm hoping to go private eventually. And so, what I'm saying, you got to pay your way in the ranking. So there are ways for you to make more money, but you obviously have to have a heck of a career resume for you to move up in that timeline template. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to community funding, let's say for instance, you go to Sherman Oaks or Beverly Hills or Malibu, they are not taking no government funding. There's zero government funding in those communities. They actually appropriate and operate off of local taxes. So their families can actually contradict and actually constrict how the rules are going to be regulated and how the funding is going to be spent in their community. So if they want tutoring programs after school, the PTA board has the right to vote on that because it's coming from the community. The taxes are appropriated from the community. But in our sentimency, in our community, we have a lot of PTAs. But the unfortunate thing is we don't have local taxes appropriating our schools. Even though the local taxes are still helping our schools, majority of the funding is coming from the government and the majority of the funding is coming from the state. So the government is actually dictating and operating our community. They're telling us how we're going to operate in a 5-year span on how they're funding our community schools. So when the government gives our school $1.5 million for the next 5 years, that comes with red tape on what the school can do with that money for 5 years as well, versus a school in Beverly Hills that has local taxes. Now the parents can come in each year and say, hey, we don't want that program here no more because they suck and they're not doing what we need them to do. So we can pull them. But if the government comes in and says, this is your team for 5 years, this is your team for 5 years, whether they suck or not.
Wow, and I don't understand why there isn't a change, and here's another thing, that's why hello, this is also a public service announcement. Please get out there and vote. Because when you're talking about the government is allocating these funds, is the government out on the streets? Is the government out in the community? Is the government out at the park? Is the government knowing what that certain school buses aren't working, that the textbooks aren't in class, kids don't have enough chairs in the seats? I'm just saying, are they hands ground on the ground? And the answer is no, because they're not there. And it takes people like you, like me, Duran, that are out there spreading the word, elevating the conversation to say, hey, this is what we need, how we need it, and more importantly, this is when we need it, right?
Yeah, and on a higher note, I mean, I agree with you on the voting part, but we have to step our game up on the community operating part because, let's say for instance, when you look in our community and if we're operating on all these government grants, these are grants that are RFPs, request for proposal. So it's actually public information. So a lot of these grants are available for us to compete for, but we don't have the capability and the criteria to compete for these grants
What do you
because,
mean by that?
so let's say for instance, this is what I'm figuring out. Like they oppress us in the paperwork as well. So they will create criteria that we aren't capable of competing with. So
Wow.
if a RFP is available publicly in our inner city community, your criteria is you need $1 million in the bank to even qualify or go after this. You need this amount of money in insurance, and a lot of the insurance policies start out at like a $10,000 intro. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a small grassroots organization that even been doing this work at the park, you're operating at a park level, so you're not even at $1 million status. So these multi-million-dollar companies are coming in that are white driven, that know about these grants and know that they can compete for it. So they'll steal our money. And when you go to the after school programs in our inner cities, or even like the teachers, they're getting paid minimum wage and they're servicing our students. So the people that are servicing our students are bare minimum workers, but there's multi-million dollars operating over our students. And you know what I'm saying? Like if you look at it on a larger scale, I did a deeper study on this. So anything that's black driven is white ran.
Oh,
So
there's
black
no lie
driven,
there.
white ran, meaning NAACP. So NAACP started out
You
as,
gonna do this right now?
let's get it, we here. So NAACP started out as for colored people, we was colored people. But then they changed the definition of what colored people was. You know what I'm saying? And they actually started saying Indonesia's people are colored people, Mexican people are colored people. So now NAACP no longer represents just black only. And so that's a dollar that is not going to the black community anymore. And NAACP is one of the top black driven organizations that's getting all the black dollars. But those black dollars are not hitting our black community. You know what I'm saying? Let's go into Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a high funded organization by Black Lives, right? But where are the black dollars being hit at? You know what I'm saying? It's not hitting. Let's go to Obama's Brothers Keepers Initiative. That was the number one initiative, even more than George Bush's act. The most politicians signed up for My Brothers Keeper Initiative, and no brothers got the initiative. All the politicians got the initiative, and the money hit their offices. But what was My Brothers Keeper Initiative? Where were the programs? You know what I'm saying? That never hit our community. Now we go to BSAP, Black Student Achievement Plan. $300 million allocated to black students in 3 years. And each school you go to and you break down the operational plan and how the money is being spent, you got a BSAP principal, you got a BSAP administrator, you got a BSAP counselor, but no BSAP teachers, no BSAP teacher assistants, no BSAP tutoring programs that's helping our kids educationally. And you got a lot of kids going on college tours, you know what I'm saying, that can't even qualify to go to college. So anything black driven is white ran, and they steal our money because they know that we can't compete.
So where is the equity and figuring out to make sure that we're all leveled out? Like how are it's almost like the situation of let's just say for example the whole thing with when segregation came about or desegregation rather. Some people are like, "Oh, well now we're welcoming all these spaces." But then also, on the flip side, that was a negative thing because you know, we actually started to look outside of our community. You could not have with the welfare system to have a father in the home because we're not giving you any money. So now I got to think, do I want a provider? Do I want a role model for my child? Or do I need to get this check? Because if I get the check so I can feed my kids, the father won't be in the house. Now, guess what? Now my child may have some daddy issues, and this could be for mothers as well. Those single parent households. So how is this supposed to level out? How is this supposed to be fair? And more importantly, what are we do? What are we to do about it?
But also that was government driven, right? So it was government driven. So you can see how it comes with red tape. You will not be able to get this without this mail in your house. So the same constrictions are being constricted across the map in our community because everything is government driven. There's nothing in our community that is independently ran like white communities. White communities thrive and they don't accept government funding. They don't accept government funding. Key word, they don't accept government funding. They run independently.
So what are we to do? How are we to up our game?
We have to be able to take advantage of this government funding. We have to actually step our game up and be able to qualify to compete. Because then once we get ourselves into the game of getting $2-3 million contracts, now we can actually operate at a higher level, hire more people at a better rate, start giving those teachers after school opportunities. So now they can offset the money that they're making at the school. Hey, come over here, do some after school tutoring. I'm going to pay you triple the price point because we know you ain't getting the right price point during the school day. So what you make after school is actually going to give you more credit worthwhile, because right now every school gives every teacher hours after school. Every school offers teachers money after school to do after school tutoring. Do you think they take it?
I'm gonna say no.
They do not.
Yes.
And they match the money that they make per hour. They match the money they make per hour. And the teachers turn it down because they're not making enough. So why would I stay after school dealing with these kids when I'm not making enough during the school day alone? I'm out of here.
Wow. And so is that where I'm a movement, not a monument comes in?
That's where not just I'm a movement out of monument comes in. That's where our community needs to step our game up at, because we need to start being able to compete for these contracts and these grants so we can actually have those paradigm shifts happen. Because now if we compete for these contracts and these grants, we can come in and operate at a different rate. I can, if I go like right now, I'm operating at a $225,000 budget. You know what I'm saying? And so with my budget, I'm capable of navigating and narrating who I hire, how they implement their operation, how we implement what we're going to do. And if more of us had that capability, the community wouldn't be in the shambles it is. But due to the fact that when you look at these after school programs and you look at a lot of these people that are running these nonprofits, like they turn into pimps. You know what I'm saying? And so I call it being a nonprofit player. See, I'm a nonprofit player, and there's too many nonprofit pimps, because even in the Black community, like what I'm seeing is like there are tons of nonprofits, and once they get to this level, they turn into a pimp because they've never had $1 million in their bank account. So and it's simple. It's very like this. The
Wait,
craziest thing
tell me
about
what
these
when you
grants.
say pimp, what exactly do you mean?
I'm gonna
They
show. I'm gonna break
are
it down. So let's say, for instance, if I get a grant for $1.3 million for 3 years, usually only thing they're asking you to qualify this grant is sign-in sheets. So the government is even duping this at a high level to where all they asking for is sign-in sheets. So I could say I had 100 kids in my after-school program. Nobody ever came to the after-school program and seen how many kids I had. All they're looking at is the data. And a lot of people are duping the data. And so I could pimp the system easy and, what I'm saying, magistrate and look like I hired all these people, look like everything. But at the end of the day, that money went to my brother, my sister, my cousin, and they gave me 40% on the back end. As soon as they got it to their bank, 40% went back to me. And so that's a lot of what's happening in our inner city, unfortunately. And what I'm saying, the money never hits our kids. That's why over 500 years we've been oppressed like this, because what I'm saying, even when the Black man over in Africa, he sold the people to the Black man, to the white man, for some money. So once the Black man over here gets money that he never had, he turns into the white man.
gotcha. And it's all in trying to live a better life, and it's like it's a little bit of selfishness in a come up. It reminds me kind of like that situation, like crabs in a barrel. I don't think it's necessarily, oh, I want to pull you down because I don't want you to get up. It's like I'm in survival mode and now I'm finally getting up. So I'm stepping over everybody that I can to do so. And it's so unfortunate because the reason why we may feel like we're lacking money, we're lacking funds, is the very same reason as to why we aren't circulating the funds in our community. And what I mean by that, rather than doing right, hiring the right teachers, making sure our kids have programs and activities to be involved in after school, I'm keeping the money so these same kids grow up and they're not getting the job that their counterparts may be getting. They aren't getting the education they need to receive, let alone even having access to the resources to live a better life. So now they're in a position of adulthood. They can't afford that home because perhaps they don't have the education, because they don't have the opportunity, because they don't have transportation. So it's a vicious cycle, huh?
Well, you gotta look at it from so I'm gonna break it down on a simplistic formality, right? So we have 13 years in school, right? 13 years you're being in school. This is an oppressed system that they are implementing, because in other environments they're not teaching or implementing this manifest. So for 13 years, you go from kindergarten to 12th grade, right? And then that 13-year span, they implement a 1/3 operation in you. You're gonna go to school for 8 hours. You're gonna play for 8 hours after school, and then you're gonna go to sleep for 8 hours. And as soon as you graduate high school, you're gonna do that same 1/3 in life. You're going to go to work for 8 hours. You're going to work with your friends and family for 8 hours, and you're going to go to sleep for 8 hours. And so they are, it's a oppressed operation that they implement in us. And so if our kids go to school for over 30 hours a week with a minuscule, not a minuscule teacher, but a teacher that can't operate in her classroom, his or her classroom, because if you're a fourth grade teacher and your students at a first grade level, but you are forced to teach a fourth grade curriculum, it's not possible for you to help that student, right? And so we have to help them somehow, some way after school. But if the after school program is pimping the money and not properly operating our kid, then that kid is for 13 years at a low operating rate. And so by the time they come an adult, they're at a low operating adult. And so at 16 years old, the Black male at a high rate is kicked out the house, right?
Mm.
So if the male is kicked out the house at 16 years old, but we know that his brain is not fully developed until 24. So that means, so for the female, she's fully developed by 21, capable of making adult decisions. I don't care what race you are. But as a male, we're not fully capable of making adult decisions with a brain cognitively enough to make those decisions until 24 years old. That means the black male is being ostracized from 16 to 24 for 8 years, being upside down. And that's why our stats are so low at a black male rate. And we have such bad records by the time we're 24. By the time we're capable of making those decisions, and we actually are like, all right, like, man, I made mistakes in my life, and you hear it like at a lot of black males when they get 24, 25, 26, like they're like, man, I fucked up when I was younger. I wish I had a better life. You know what I'm saying? And so these things end up hindering us because we are forced to be adults at a younger age than what our brain is cognitively even capable of making those decisions. So our community does not set us up for success.
Wow. So when you say that we got to step as a community, basically we have to hold ourselves accountable and making sure that folks are showing up. So for example, if the school has approved for this organization to come through, to make sure that the kids are going through. But then again, who's getting paid to ensure that? Because they pretty much wash their hands. Not like that, but it's like, I'm done at school. They doing what they got to do, right?
And that's the problem. And that's why they can pimp our system so easy, because they can't go in the white community and get those millions of dollars like that and go uncurated or unaccounted for. They're going to be accounted for by the weeks. But in our community, you could go 5 years failing our kids, and each year you still got the same amount of money. You might get more money.
So so essentially, and I mean I say this loosely, are we at fault for the progress or lack thereof of our community? It's
Yeah,
our
God had the people walking in the wilderness for 40 years because their selves. They were following each other. So in that Bible story, they were whispering by themselves, following each other in the wilderness, and they were literally leading themselves in the darkness. But we in the same navigation is doing the same thing, because I actually asked God this, man. This was my prayer for years. Years. This was my prayer for years. I asked God, please, God, like, how do I help our people? How do I help our people? And literally, God showed it to me in a vision, like a song I wrote. He started showing me the red dots. So in our community, we're filled with red dots, meaning like you're in a deficit. And so if I could turn one green dot, one red dot into a green dot, that green dot would turn another green dot, a red dot into a green dot. And that's not happening in our community enough. We're not passing the torch in that effort to where I know how to start a trust. Like how, like, let's say for instance, we'll watch a podcast and a brother will come on there and he'll tell you, yeah, this is how you start a trust. This is how you start a trust. And they might be on there for an hour giving you all this guidance on how to start a trust, but they never started a trust on that podcast. You know what I'm saying? So these are the hindrances, because we could talk the good game, but we never show or grab my hand and show me. Like nobody's showing me like how to buy gold bricks. How do you buy gold brick? Who knows how to go buy a gold brick right now? Because
right.
that's the only way you're gonna make generational wealth is if you buying gold bricks. You know what I'm saying? Don't buy a house. Go buy a gold brick. A house is gonna go down in value, go up in value. That gold brick is gonna keep going up every year. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have the capability to have these type of resources firsthand in our community to show us. And if it does come firsthand, it's like 99.99. You know what I'm saying? I got this
Right.
book for 49.99, and that book that they buy, you read it, but you never see the results behind the reading. You know what I'm saying? So I'm the New York top seller, but everybody that bought my book is still in the red.
I was about to I mean, the way you said it like that made me think of how some people view like the church. How everybody is poor in the church except for the leader. And it's like, why aren't we siphoning this information about how to be better and how to do better, uplifting everybody so everybody has the coin? Now, by no means do I think that if you are a leader of a church that you should not be compensated. That is not what I'm saying. Because I know that there's a lot of work with preparation. There's a lot of counseling to keep up the facility, and also the due diligence of also creating activities to support the community. However, like you said, how or what is the best way to ensure that we transfer this information, that we transfer these resources? I feel like we're like chasing a tail here, thinking that we're eating something or finding something new. It's having me think like right now, how are we going to make a difference? How are we going to come up? Because
We have to
everybody needs some kind of money, but what's up?
we gotta step our game up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like if we're the largest spending community, we're the largest spending community.
Why are we so poor? Talk about it.
You feel me? So it's like, how are we the largest spending community, but yet it's still our dollars last in our community? I think it's like less than 3 seconds. It circulates in our community. So it's like, where are we spending our dollars at? And we're so oppressed that we might think we're spending black dollars, but the black dollars, once again, is not going to the right black people because the
Mhm.
black people we're pouring into have been praised so much that they forgot that they like us. So they've been praised and printed so much that they like, now I'm above you and you got to pay me to be around you. You know what I'm saying? It's not too many people that come back for free. It's not too many people that you call and say, hey, I got this great program. Can you come and help me bring this program up? And they're going to be like, oh, let's get it popping. They're going to be like, let's get it popping, but I need 5,000, you know what I'm saying, to show up. You feel me? And so these are, you know what I'm saying, like labels of like, we got to really, really have a real round table that's not televised, that's not publicized, that's not socialized, and it's really revitalized. You know what I'm saying? That's really about the epidemic that we're facing because our black community is in an epidemic, and our black males are what do they call that when animals are dying? Endangered. We are endangered species. You know what I'm saying? As a black male, we are endangered species. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the statistics of the way we're graduating high school and the way we're going to college as a black male, oh, buddy, old pal, nigga, you're going to be sweeping up popcorn in the future. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be a popcorn sweeper because you don't have no back end resume. You have no skill set and you really want to be a nigga. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, like these uplifts that we're instilling in our black males ultimately are going to derail our black male in the near future because the near future we're facing robots, we're facing corporate America not allowing a black male to have an opportunity as it is. You know what I'm saying? And now we're implementing robots and AI and all this. And so, you know, if the black male, he gonna be really at the tail end of things. You know what I'm saying? So we really got to have major programs coming in that are dedicated to not BIPOC but black.
Mm. For us, by us. Now, speaking of which, because we need to get into all these awesome programs, speaking of them, that you offer. So, with your organization, I'm a movement and not a monument, or I'm a movement, not a monument. The and is not in there, excuse me. Tell us about the benefits of your programs as well as the events you have. I saw you have the Gauntlet, you have No Mind Left Behind tutoring program, which we discussed, Safe Haven Fridays, Lift Them Up, Summer Fun Series. Talk to me.
Yay. So the tutoring program, the key to success about the tutoring program is being able to get your homework done right then and there. You know what I'm saying? You go home sometimes, the parents really don't even know how to help you with the homework. And so
Because
that's a
oftentimes the kids have superseded the education of their parents.
exactly. And so that's a hindrance within our operation system. And so if you're in our environment, you're capable of getting your homework done, not just getting your homework done, you're capable of being mentored with because I hire people that understand our community and come from our community. So that the people that work with you have been in your shoes before. They know what it's like going home with a parent that doesn't know how to help them with education. And so we really have a great team of people that are mentors in these kids' lives and they pour into these kids. And in a 6 week span, you will see a change in your kid, not just from an operational standpoint of how they approach school, but in an uplift of towards life. You know what I'm saying? Because you can see parents tell us like, man, my kid look forward to coming to tutoring. More than they look forward to coming to school. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
what we pour into their kids allows their kid to have a brighter future because we actually, I know what it's like. So I'd make sure that the designs of our program and our curriculums still have fun learning in it, still have uplift of, what I'm saying, partnerships like Passive Forward, where they come in and give the sport, and you know what I'm saying. So that's one operation. We also have the Gauntlet. Now the Gauntlet, this is the most beautiful thing about life, you guys. I started the Gauntlet in 2016, no 2015. We created it. I didn't never come out with this program until last year. So I have a safe filled with things that it's like it's never old. It's always created for a perfect timing. And who knew that 5 years later, this would be my contract into the school district, and I would take that contract and flip it into multiple contracts. But our brother, the Gauntlet is actually called Brotherhood and Sisterhood in the Inglewood School District, and we actually bring in different career oriented people that actually come from the inner city that understand our youth, that was in our youth shoes and actually became successful. So yesterday we had somebody, the sister, come in. Her name is So Contagious, SEW Contagious, and she has a sewing company. And
Seamstress.
from
I
her
love
coming in with the sewing company, a young lady came to me today and she said, I had a sewing machine in my closet for a whole year. I actually pulled it out and now I'm actually about to start sewing. And
Oh,
so, we are pouring into our youth to where they get a hands-on thirst about a career that they may not know about. Because when you go into these schools and you ask a kid, what career do you know? And they only going to tell you 6 to 8, maybe 10 at the most. And it's like cop, lawyer, doctor, fireman, basketball player, soccer player, football player. And it's like, dude, all you said was this, what's on TV. You didn't say nothing else. And these are things that we have to bring to our kids so they have a first-hand understanding of it. And then you can hear stories like what I just told you about my sister, how she came in the next day and she had a sewing machine in her closet for a whole year she wasn't even using.
wow. That's what it's about. Like you said, putting that exposure out there, exposing, because that's the thing. It's not like half the time that it's not there. People just got to know it's a viewpoint. They just got to make sure they have the vision, and you are providing that vision for our young people. Now, you're talking about this after school programs and all of your events. How can people get plugged in? Are you at all schools, specific schools? What's up? What are the qualifications, the criteria, certain age bracket? What's up, Duran?
So that the tightest thing about life is that I'm still I come from the streets to a corporate suite. You know what I'm saying?
Come
So I'm a
on.
hustler, baby. I just want you
I
to
just want
know.
you to
You know what
know.
I'm saying? It ain't where I've been, but
That's
where I'm
wrong.
about to go. You
Go.
feel me? So we go in major places in life. You know what I'm saying? And I basically operate where budgets are. But we don't just eat your budget up. I bring more money to the budget. So if you give me a $60,000 contract, I might bring 150,000 more off of the 60 because I know how to do site visits. I know how to bring other corporations in this locally that I can now have a buy-in into the system because I figured out how to get tax write-offs because I'm a 501c3. I figured out instead of going after grants, how to create local partnerships with major companies because we in LA. LA is one of the most wealthiest cities in the world.
Mhm.
And so we actually have some of the best companies that you can create a private partnership with that might give you 50,000 because of what you're doing. And they don't want to be publicized. They don't care about pictures and all that. They just want to see the jobs done and they want to see the kids affected. And they see that the work you're doing is so powerful. So I can come into your school, get that 60,000 and offset that 60,000 with another 150 to where now we got 210,000 and we helping that many more kids. And so that's what it's all about is, you know what I'm saying? If you got a budget, I'll figure out how to match your budget or triple your budget and bring more greatness to your environment and really help you help the community.
Okay, so but if I'm a parent right now and I'm like, wow, my baby needs to be in an after school program or your needs to be part of I'm a movement, not a monument. Is that only exclusive to whichever school you are? If somebody wants to pull up right now and join your tutoring program as a parent submitting their child, enrolling their child, what does that look like?
So we actually do have. So that's the beautiful thing about life is I have such a compassionate heart that I'm like I can't not have our home site where the public can come. So even though we have our private sites at the schools where it's only available to the kids at the schools, we still have our public site for free, and it's free tutoring too at Rogers Park, and it's every Tuesday,
When?
Wednesday, and Thursday from 4:30 to 7 p.m. And so you're capable of dropping your kid off and they're capable of getting their homework done. We assess your child, and so we actually get an identity of where your child is grade wise, and we start creating independent packets for your child. So that's how the mind gets caught up. Because if your child is testing at a first grade level, but they're at a sixth grade level, it's our job and my tutor's jobs to bring them first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, to where by the end of the school year, they're testing at a sixth grade level, and they also are passing their grades and their classes independently versus us having to really do their homework for them.
Okay, so let me just get this clear that I heard you correctly. Absolutely free of charge. Pulling up at Rogers Park Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 4:30 to 7. My child can get tutored for free.
Yay, yay. And not just that, we got a basketball team there too. So you can actually sign up and get your homework done and physical fitness. So by the time the parent picks the child up, all they gotta do is go home, eat dinner, and go to sleep. And make sure you check the work too, parents. Check the work that we checked because we want to make sure that y'all overview our work as well and holding us accountable.
Wow. So when we talking about doing better and be better, you got to know better so you can see better. And we need you to see right now, I'm a movement, not a monument, is a force in our community to be reckoned with.
You understand me? That's a factory, gang.
And then also, are you still doing your other events? Or are they
Yeah,
intermittent?
so the summer fun series is in the summer. It's 4 times a year. And so the way we do summer fun series is we go into different communities and we actually put on for that community. And we actually make it a live event, you know what I'm saying? Where I bring in all my partners. We got multiple partners, you know what I'm saying? So we just turn up, you know what I'm saying? And it's for us, you know what I'm saying? It's implemented with the greatness of understanding our people, understanding what we go through economically, and we want to alleviate that pressure that we go through. So you know what I'm saying, these are days of alleviation. Like even when we do our toy festival, our toy is that's the reason why it's called a toy festival, because when I was growing up, believe it or not, like after Christmas break is when I got into the most fights, because
Mm.
everybody would come back from school bragging about what they got for Christmas, and I could only brag about my sweater or some socks that I got or a bedspread. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't, we couldn't afford that type of stuff. And so that happens in our community at a high rate. And so we want to give kids a chance to not have to fight when they go back to school. And they can actually highlight this toy festival that where they was able to get on rides, get face painted, get on game trucks, meet their local rappers, you know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the tightest things we do too. And once again, I link up with the local community members that are considered gang members, but no, these are community members. And these people actually come out, they turn up more than you could partner with, you know what I'm saying, the Lakers. Even I love partnering with gang members in the communities like that more than I love partnering with the Lakers and stuff like that, because they really know what's up and they really know their community and they know how to get back to their community. So partnering with those type of people, we have a more of an impact, and we give out thousands of toys, and we have the real rappers come out and, you know what I'm saying, give autographs, take pictures, turn up with the people. And even with our turkey giveaway, same difference. You know, it ain't just come and get a turkey and leave. Nah, I stopped even buying turkeys like that, because it's like, why, and it's very expensive buying turkeys, mind you. Why would I buy these turkeys when I could hire a chef? So I started hiring top of the line chefs, cooking the food for us and coming out to the hood. And now we eat with each other. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
And
it's
that's
like,
the thing, we gotta get back to communing with each other. We got Steve tuning in on, YouTube. It's like, "What are y'all talking about?" We talking about being a movement and not just a monument. We're talking about progressing on with our community, for us and by us, with Duran, Bowie, From I'm a movement, not a monument.
Yeah, and you don't stop. You know what I'm saying? This is what's up. I love this, Don Deezy. I'm glad
I
that
love
you
it.
brought
Thank
me
you so
on.
much. So now for anybody that may be watching, maybe tuning in, where can we keep up with you and follow you?
Man, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
wait, before you answer that, tell us, what do you have coming up next?
What we got coming up next? Uh,
Anything for the holiday, or
yeah,
it'll
yeah, yeah,
probably things
yeah.
resume in the new
Next,
year?
next, this actual Saturday at Jesse Owens Park, we have a haunted house. So pull up to Jesse Owens Park. It's going down. That's it's gonna
What
be awesome.
time?
Yes. So that's gonna be from 1 to 5, if I'm not mistaken on the timing. But I'll drop the flyer on our Instagram tomorrow. And so
Okay.
that's gonna be this Saturday. But in November, we have our turkey giveaway. And then on top of our turkey giveaway in November, in December, we got our toy festival. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? And
So
so
kids and people can get their turkeys, can get their food?
yeah, get your food, come and eat with us, come and get it in. And also, for Christmas, hey, they know what's up. You already the people know what the business is for Christmas. So just pop out and show niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So pull up for our community to understand how we can support one another and what we need. We're talking about kids that need to be tutored. We're talking about establishing a community. We're talking about having a conversation so we can uplift another, each and one person, and so that there is no mind left behind.
Yeah, and shed the light. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of the key things I love doing is passing it forward and being the light for real. Because that's what
Hello,
God
vitamin
said.
D. Vitamin D is all about shedding the light.
You have to, because when you shed the light, like I've literally helped tons of people, over 10 people start their nonprofit, get their 501c3. You know what I'm saying? And to where now I have a pure lawyer that starts people's nonprofits for $500. So it's like I've had so many people start their 501c3 that she started a business off of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's a real thriving business for her because she helped several people not just start for nonprofits, but also start for profits. And so these are things that we have to be able to do for our people. We can't just be like, come work with me. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't want people to necessarily come work with me like that. I want, if it's your vision, your dream, I want to help you live your vision, your dream versus mine. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important for us not to captivate our people by like, come around here and let me hold you down and get around here. Nah, man, I don't want you like underneath my wing to where you flying underneath me. I want everybody flying next to me. You know what I'm saying? And we don't
Come
have enough
on.
people in that mindset.
Because each one teach one, therefore each one can reach one. So, Miss Jackie is up here. Miss Jacqueline. Oh yeah, I need a 501c3. So tell us, how do we keep up with you? How do we follow you? For anybody that may have questions about starting a 501c3, anyone that may want you in their school system, or perhaps want to pull up even you on Rogers Park Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and have their child being tutored.
So I'm gonna give y'all the nonprofit number because you know what I'm saying, like even though social media is social media, I like to direct connect. You know what I'm saying? I like to be able to directly connect with you. And if you bought that life, I'm gonna be able to cipher it out and right then and there. So it's my nonprofit number is 562-489-8275. And once again, 562-489-8275. And also our nonprofit our nonprofit email is Duran Bowie at imamovement.org. That's DURANBOWIE at I'm a movement. That's IMA movement.org. And then you can also DM me at I'm a movement on Instagram. You know what I'm talking about?
All right. So there you have it. Thank you so much for pulling up on us, for inspiring us, for shedding light on information and resources so that we can be better, so therefore we can do better.
Hey man, thank you for having me and giving me this time and this opportunity to be able to have this type of platform to talk my talk and unapologetically let my people know what the business is.
My pleasure. And one thing I got to ask you, who would you like to pass the torch to? Who was the next
Oh,
welcome on Vitamin D?
hey, so I got a couple people, you know what I'm saying? I want to reach out to my boy Kwame Brown.
Kwame?
And yeah, Kwame Brown, he the number one draft pick from the NBA. So I want to have him come on here and, you know what I'm saying, talk his talk. But I also want to have Dr. Jackie Sanderson come in and talk about her Why Not and her Building Bridges program.
Wow. Why not in Building Bridges program? Okay, so before we get you leave out of here officially, I want to make sure I copy that information down because it's all about passing it forward and it's all about passing the torch. Now let's look. In my opinion, the best way to fix our communities is to have strong male leaders. Too many guys out here thinking it's too cool to abandon their families, and too many girls having sex with guys they don't see. Well, it takes two to tangle, so let's make room for that. Fathering their children, teaching values, and get kids into sports. So I think it's a combination of both things, Steve. I do appreciate your comment, but I think oftentimes we will look at a woman and say, okay, well, stop having these babies. Well, there's a male that's in there. And I do think it is important to have, males in the household.
Well, you know, from what like let's dig into it real fast. So let's say for instance, right?
Real quick, we got like 5 more minutes. Okay.
In our community, you have like, like we're all striving for love. We all want
Mhm.
love, right? Because we've been lost in love. We don't. We I didn't. I was raised with tough love, so it's like we can easily be misconstrued and thinking like somebody love you, and it's like, hey, it happens. But all that pinpointing, like sex, this, like that, nah, man, we all do it together. Like Sister Love said, we both intertwined that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
come back on here in January, and I'm gonna debut a surprise to the world on your show in January.
Really? Oh, so we got some we about to get a movement going at the top of the year.
In
Is that
January,
correct?
I'm dropping breaking news for you. I'm gonna do it to your platform.
All right, y'all heard it here exclusively from the founder of I'm a Movement, Not a Monument, coming in 2025. He's expressing it live right here on Vitamin D Live. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Duran. Thank you. Thank you. Pop the collars. Thank you. Thank you all for the work that you do. I appreciate you. Any last minute words?
Hey man, stay blessed. Keep striving for success, and I'm talking about God is the greatest.
God is the greatest. Well, thank you so much. Take care.
All right, God
Wow.
bless you.
Now y'all heard it right here. That was Duran. Say when you know better, you can do better. So therefore, you can be better. And so what we can do is all come together as a movement. Let's be a movement in our lives. Let's be a movement for one another. And let's keep shedding the light on individuals such as Duran, individuals who are uplifting our community so that we can be better and to do better. Okay. Now, I want to remind you guys if you enjoyed this episode, please share this with somebody else. Tell somebody to tell somebody else that dang on dawn like the break of day has a podcast and it's Vitamin D Live, and it's all about shedding light, also that we can be better, also that we can do better, one person at a time, one light at a time, one moment at a time. And I want to welcome you that if you would like to be a guest, if you have recommendations for a guest, or perhaps if you would like to submit an advice letter, shoot me an email. Vitamin D at dawndai.speaks.com. That's vitamin D at dawndai.speaks.com. And also make sure you keep up with us. Vitamin D Dawn Day. That's everything that has to do with the Vitamin D show as we continue to build, as we continue to grow on this live platform. And all of these are available on whichever podcast platform you use for you to listen to. Okay. And of course, if you like to keep up with me, the original source of vitamin D. You can follow me at Dawn DAI Speaks. That's Dawn DAI Speaks. All right, family. I always say, I'm in the business of making dreams come true. And I damn sure ain't gonna forget about mine. So until next time, family, always remember you are your greatest asset.
Get your vitamin D right here with me and get excited about